Do. It's the pod.
I'm recording this for like the third time because I do want to put something in here so that we don't forget to talk about it on the next pod. But hi, it's me, Maddie. Just wanted to say sorry the pod's a little short today. We thought we had enough time to record for an hour. We didn't. So today's episode, half an hour. Pew 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 pew. Yeah. Also, the Grammys are this weekend, so I want to talk about the Grammy winners on the next pod. And I would like to lock in my pick for either Andre 3000 or Chappell Roan to win Best Album of the Year. Chappell Roan Best New Artist, and Doechii Best Rap Album. Or maybe Doechii Best New Artist, Chappell or Doechii. I love you, Sabrina, but I don't know. I'll take any of them. Honestly, the whole categories are stacked. This year's Grammys are gonna be so good. But yeah, so sorry it's a little short. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Okay, bye. Oh my god, I'm so good. How are you?
Oh, good. Welcome to the G.A.Y pod.
Welcome to the G.A.Y pod.
New episode, new us. More video. Hopefully, now that we know our setup a little bit better, we're not trying to figure out what to do. We just know now.
We've got it. We've got it down. It's on lock. I'm pretty happy with that.
Canon, I'm in your walls, because that little thing that you guys have where you can't record over $29.95, I get it for tax purposes and like for legally naming what something is, but also fuck you.
Yeah, okay, so explanation, BTS moment. We're using Tonio's camera and we were trying to figure out if we could bypass the 30-minute like record time, and you just can't because it's just not capable of that.
No.
Because of like selling purposes. If it records over 30 minutes, it can be classified as a video camera. Nerd stuff, but
nerd shit.
It's okay. We figured our way around it.
Yeah. Now we just have to get up every $29.95. So if there's a split in the footage, that's why.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
It's that split.
So first order of business.
Oh god. Tonio said he has questions. I have a question for him today.
Do you want to go first?
I do. Oh my god, let me go. Okay. So, I don't know where I found this from. It's a very staple question, but if you could have any dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would you do? Like, who would I have dinner with? Yeah, who would you have dinner with?
That is a really good question that I don't know if I know the answer to, because I feel like as soon as I say one, I'm immediately going to think of someone else and be like, oh my god, I want to have dinner with them.
I'll give you top 3.
No, I'll keep it fair. I'll do like if it's a one-on-one dinner. Honestly.
No, that's so real.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Ooh.
She's one of my favorite musical artists. I also think that I am not in her like. When they sit down in meetings with Megan Thee Stallion of like, how do you want to market yourself? What's the audience you want to get? And she probably says hot girls, like hot black girls, like stuff like that. And I just think I am such the alternative to that I think she would be like, who the fuck is this? And then after we sit down and get talking, I think we would have a really good conversation. I've always said I wanted to meet her just to talk to her and not even on some creepy shit. Like, I just legitimately think that her and I could carry a conversation about anything.
Yeah.
I know you probably didn't watch it, and it's actually like a really good, and I'm not just saying this because I'm like
Is her documentary?
It's really good.
Oh!
That's the part. That's the gag. Is it's really good, and it tells me more tea on what I wanted to know about, which is the whole situation with like Tory Lanez and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's literally covers her entire like court journey.
Oh wow.
And I just think that she's great. I think that her and I sitting down and having dinner would be fun. There'd be a lot of laughing, I think. Or I would just clam up and be like, oh my god, yeah, Megan!
Oh my god.
I would want to talk to her about Legendary, yes. I think, first and foremost. I'm a writer, HBOMAX, I'm also in your walls. Bring back Legendary. That's just going to be the title of this episode. It's not going to, the majority of this episode isn't going to be about Legendary, but you need to bring that shit back. And I'm not even fucking joking. But here's what you're going to do. You can have one celeb judge. I think that's fine. We take What's-Her-Face off. I don't think she should be a judge at all. At all. What's-Her-Face?
Jamila?
Yeah, Jamila. Take her off. She was great as a host, but I think she should have just... I think if you're going to make someone the host of the show, it should just be Deshaun, your MC. Because they run the shows... Whoa. This is how you know we were like, we need to do a podcast, is because you asked me who I want to go to dinner with, and now here I am rallying the troops to go get Legendary back on HBO Max. But no, I think that there needs to be a lot more involvement with the people from Ballroom. Like, I think the judging panel should be made up of people I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, and if people I don't know and people who are from that scene and actual judges and legends who are respected in that scene, because one of the things that I hate about shows like Drag Race or like Legendary or other things is when someone's like, I just don't get it, so I'm going to give you a low score.
Yeah.
That's shitty. That sucks.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll get into this later too, because I want to hear your opinion. Like the whole thing with like Arietti and her makeup on Drag Race, and Michelle's like, you need to change it up. It can't always look like cats. I'm like, first of all, that's rude. Second of all, no one's telling you you can't flaunt your New Jerseyan or New Yorkian. Like, no one's saying you can't do that because it's tired. No one's telling you can't have the gray streak in your hair anymore because it's tired and it's boring. No one's critiquing you on that. And she's definitely not critiquing the other people for having the same mug. 5 pretty girls on the stage and the one alt girl we're gonna pick on because she looks different. Work. Like, y'all better eat. But I'm not really standing for that anymore. Anyway, to make a long motherfucking story short, Megan Thee Stallion, locking in as my final answer. Who would you go to dinner with?
I love that. I don't know. I feel like I have multiple answers for this, but for if I just had to pick one, it'd be Harry Styles.
I knew you were going to say that.
I love Harry Styles. I just think he's such a cool dude. I don't know the dude at all. Mm-hmm. But, like, he just seems so cool. I love his stage presence.
Yeah.
He's got great music. He's got cool fashion style.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys like the same things, do you think? Like, besides music? Do you have other common interests?
I don't know, but I think that's what would be interesting to, like, find out, like, what is he into? Yeah,
that's kind of why, that's the only reason why I picked Megan Thee Stallion, is because she's talking about stuff outside of rap that I'm like, oh my god, we would probably fuck with each other. Like, if you sat Megan Thee Stallion and I down, our TikTok For You pages would look the same, RIP. But yeah, what would you ask him about? Because, like, the music questions are tired, right?
Yeah, I think I would, like... that's a great question. Definitely ask him where his favorite place he's visited, travel-wise. I think that's an interesting question. And then I would also like to ask him... I'm blanking on everything right now about Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
No.
Ask me a question, babes. He doesn't have a list, but that's for sure.
Oh, man. What would you ask Megan?
What are you watching, girl? What was your favorite movie of 2024? If not your favorite movie, or you didn't watch too many, like, what was your favorite anime? Are you watching Castlevania Nocturne? Okay, cool. When am I going to see a cosplay from that? I'll show you a picture of who I'm talking about. Maybe I'll put one up on the screen. But there's this character in Castlevania Nocturne, which takes place 300 years after the original Castlevania. Has a whole new set of like characters and villains and vampires. And the vampire I'm thinking of specifically, I think if Megan Thee Stallion did a cosplay of her, I'd freak the fuck out. Because not only would it be Megan Thee Stallion dressed up as a vampire, which, whoa, but Megan Thee Stallion in black shiny latex with like a whip and fangs and giant pink and purple hair, red eyes, moving fast and doing like crazy moves, like anime style like fights and stuff. I feel like Chris has had to have shown you something. But like, picturing her doing all of that just makes sense. And plus the character is a villain, which Meg I feel like is a good person, not necessarily like sucking the life out of people evil, but I think it would just be such a different approach to Megan Thee Stallion that it could be cool, because we've seen her be a badass, but we haven't seen her be a villain, although people on the internet want to say that she is one for being shot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That whole situation,
that's crazy.
That whole situation pisses me off. Like, every time I think about it, it really just makes me mad, because what do you mean someone got shot and your first reaction is they're doing it for attention?
Yeah.
What? She didn't need attention.
Yeah.
She was already a famous rapper. What the fuck else does she need?
It's like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you good?
That was one of the moments that solidified me in kind of being a misandrist. Like, I would never, and this will lead into my next topic, but I always put myself in the victim's shoes, mostly because, not to be woke or anything cringe, but like, I've been a victim. Everyone in their life at some point in a story, one time or another, it has been a victim. Everyone is currently a victim of our government. Everyone is currently a victim of that. But like, the fact that people were like, and the fact that the whole reason people don't believe her is just this eons old fucking man gene that is so annoying to see fire off and happen, especially with men that in my personal life, that I enjoy being around. I hate when they do something like this, or they say something along the lines of like, oh, she's just doing it for attention, like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's a woman, she got frazzled. When 99% of the men in my life I know who get frazzled cry or punch something. So like, I don't know, I just have, that stuff has never been a thought process in my brain. And also my entire life I've mainly been friends with women. Like, I am a mama's boy. Like, a lot of my life has been influenced by women. It's kind of funny because I look at women and having more of a kinship with them than I do with men, mostly because even growing up, obviously, I wasn't super like gay or flamboyant or like outwardly showing that I was queer, but even growing up, like, there's just that incessant, like, if you're not a straight man into football and you don't even meet those two requirements, like, you're kind of on the outside. Yeah. So I think that a whole half of a species on our planet just kind of reducing themselves to that narrative is super upsetting. And the fact that I wasn't comfortable confiding in that and being in that headspace grouped me, like, put me on the outs. And then I was like, wait, I understand women more. Wait, I have empathy and sympathy for women more. I have sympathy for other men who aren't traditionally masculine. Because it's a big, and I want you to speak on this, it's a big fucking boys club. No matter where you go, if a man is involved somewhere, there's a sneaky, gross little sect of men that are also probably in that group that are like, that look at the rest of the group as like, well, they're not like us.
Yeah. I think that's just life, though. I think that's just like... And like, unfortunately, like, there's just shitty people in each section of like groups of the world, right? Like, there's always going to be shitty men, there's always going to be shitty women, there's always going to be shitty these kinds of people, there's always going to be shitty that kind of people, like, and yeah, in my experience it typically has been more men, but like, yeah, I don't know. You just kind of...
Period. And that...
I don't know.
And I think you're allowed and valid to say that because we've lived in a society that's been dominated by men for a majority of the time, and we're only just now seeing a swing back on it. And it sucks with how the current state of the United States is. But where this is bringing more true now than ever. But people are tired. People are over it. People are done with this like line of thinking. And obviously the reason why there's such a dispute right now and why everything feels like it's about to fall apart is because we're having to do something new when historically that hasn't... We've only been one way. Having our country set up by men, having a majority of like companies in the United States owned by men, especially bigger companies that are like really influential in terms of like groceries or even like fashion industries most of the time. Sometimes a bigger like higher up CEOs of just the company are men. You'll never see them sitting at the shows, but they're the ones like moving the money. And at the end of the day, that it all comes back to that money's evil. But I think getting on this track, the thing that I wanted to bring to the podcast today that I wanted to talk about, and I don't want anyone confused or mixed up in thinking that I lived here for 3 years and now I'm like Portland born and raised. Like I would never tout that. I would tout more that like I'm experienced in living in a bunch of different regions in the United States, say for the East Coast. And I would say that I'm from everywhere, or I'm from Michigan before I would say like I'm from Portland. I haven't even lived here 5 years. So to say that feels kind of fake. I'm not going to start saying that anytime soon. But there's this app called Nextdoor. And sorry if you can hear a plane. Nextdoor is an app that when you sign up for it, it immediately sort of puts you in a group of people, or you can only see posts from a group of people who live in that same area or near there. And the issue that I have with this app is it seems very performative. It seems like the people just go on there to post about being inconvenienced minorly, or they want to shit talk some like random homeless person that'll never see it. Like it feels like a place just to vent frustration rather than it is to like build community. One of the things that people use it for is they're like, hey, if anyone has any stuff that they're throwing away, like just let me know, like I'll take it. But then people will then post like a day later like, this website actually isn't just for free fucking handouts, and you're scummy if you come on here just for free handouts. And like, how are you going to take an app that was made for community building and then like do the opposite? Right? Yeah. Like that just kind of boggles my mind. But here's the most recent post that I actually interacted with and commented on and said something in response to. And I don't do this often. If at all. I just use it for entertainment. Ever since I got rid of TikTok, like I just run out of apps to look through, and this is one that I find interesting because sometimes I post about cool stuff in the neighborhood. Sometimes you find someone getting rid of something and you're like, hey, that would be kind of cool. I want it. But what I mentioned previous is what I'm going to talk about now. This person, who shall not be named, posted 17 hours ago, my husband was going down Southeast 20th and Hague on a bicycle and saw a homeless person's building a fire in a driveway of a business building. Big one, and feeding it more wood. Yes, it's cold outside, but there are shelters open. When he got home, he called 911 and the fire captain called back to get the details. He said if it was on the sidewalk that they don't respond. Huh? As a homeowner, I know there are rules where you can have, and what type of fire pit you can have outside. So I can light a fire on the sidewalk? Still trying to wrap my head around this one. For those of you who don't know, Portland has a pretty high houseless population. In fact, it is a topic of conversation so much so that there are movements to even, instead of saying homeless, just to say houseless, because home is wherever you want to make it. House is, and I feel like this is another act of kind of like performative activism. Like they don't give a fuck what they're called. Like I'll just say I saw a person. I saw a person. That's normally how I start these stories anyway. And it's a problem. Let me rephrase that. It is a problem. I do not think that it is a problem. I think when your city is going through exponential growths and you're seeing waves of people moving here that have never lived here before, and you also were one of the first states to like say, fuck it, you can do whatever drugs you want to do and they're not illegal. That was handled messily as well if you look into it. Of course, this is going to happen. In any like large city, like you're going to encounter people who don't have homes, who don't have anywhere else to go, and some people even live that way by choice. And this used to mean something, but like, this is America. I feel like if you want to live, like, you want to urban live off the land, and you don't want to have an apartment or a job or whatever, go ahead. Like, I'm not like, that is your choice. I am not going to, like, I'm not... See, they're getting rowdy. I'm not gonna get in the way of that. Like, you do you, and if also you want to go and do hard drugs, go ahead. Like, and so my response to this, instead of me going on a tangent before I even tell you what my response was, it was. So my question is, if this person doesn't have access to houseless resources available, it's safe to assume that nobody on here would try to help them by offering a warm place to stay or another alternative. I guess my question is, would you rather see a fire on the sidewalk or a dead body on the sidewalk? What looks better to you? All I see on this app in this city are people complaining about not helping. I've been on this app in other cities, and it feels like a community, while here it feels like a place where people just want to complain about how dangerous Portland is. I mean, I know the answer. Y'all would just rather those people die and are removed from our city, because then you wouldn't have to put up with seeing a fire on the sidewalk and having to acknowledge that there are people less fortunate than you this close to your neighborhood. The only difference is you lucked out on not having to experience the choice of fire on the sidewalk or to die to exposure. Where's the fucking empathy for people? Like, this person's like, yeah, I know it's cold outside, but there are homeless shelters. Hey, do you not know that we don't have that many? They can have a capacity. They don't just take everybody.
Yeah.
And it just is like, and of course people are responding to my comments in particular, but I'm not really reading them because I've said my piece. I don't need to go back and forth with somebody on like some bullshit like that. What the fuck? Like,
yeah.
It is record cold here in Portland at the time we're filming this, where it's getting to like 25 degrees outside at night. And if you sleep in those temperatures without the proper like gear, you're gonna die. You're gonna not have a good time at the very least. It's gonna be painful. So if your first response when you look at someone who obviously has less than you do and you say they're lighting a fire to be disruptive or they don't need to do that, hey, guess what? They do. Otherwise, they die. So, I don't know. That really like... And there are a bunch of things that are like that, right? You see someone saying like, oh, this city's going to whatever. Or you see people going like, oh, there's like such a problem with these people. And it's like, hey, maybe instead of being a bitch, you could acknowledge the fact that you have more in common with that person than you do with the person who owns the commercial building.
Yeah. I think agree with most of your sentiments there. I think houseless people the people are not a problem. The problem is, how do we help these people?
Yeah.
And like, you can't just say it's not a problem, because it is a problem, and like that, to not say it is, it kind of diminish the fact of, you know, these are people that are on the streets, and we are all just people at the end of the day, and we need to help each other. Like,
yeah.
So it's just so sad to like see somebody, yeah, you know, post something like that and not think to like help them.
Ask if you're okay. Ask, is there any... Like, not all, like, okay, I was being dramatic when I was like, you're not going to invite them in to stay with you somewhere warm, right? But the least you could do is just be like, is there anything I can get you?
A cup of coffee? tea?
Go into CVS, get the like hand warmers, like buy them a coat, like a sleeping bag, something.
It's like so easy to just like ask somebody, because at the end of the day, they're people. We're all just people. Like,
and especially and like if this were, I'm gonna say this and maybe be brave and be vulnerable, but like if it was like a normal like chill ass like summer day and someone lit a fire on the sidewalk, would I be like, damn, that's kind of crazy? Anyway, but you want to know what I'd still do? Let's say it together. I would mind my business. Crazy, right? But in situations like these, like where it's cold outside and people don't have anywhere warm to go, or they're choosing to be outside by themselves, or you know, whatever their history is, whatever the reason they're outside, they still deserve the respect of like being alive.
And to that, I will say respect goes both ways.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not being respectful, I'm sorry. Then, like, I honestly,
yeah,
the whole fire situation, it kind of plays a dangerous. It toys both way. Like, yes, you have to stay warm. To an extent, like this cannot be like an out of control fire.
Oh no, yeah, you can't
know, like,
light. I'm not saying light a building on fire, but I think in these situations, I wouldn't assume that someone is lighting a fire right now to start something.
Correct.
It's because I like to check myself if I feel like I'm being extra, or I feel like I'm getting involved in something I don't need to. I reach out to people like Maddie. This is I was going to tell her about this earlier, but I was like, I'm going to save it for the pod. People like, I sent a message to Miguel and I sent a message to my family being like, was my response out of pocket? Like, do you guys think that, like, as a sounding board, like, do you think that I'm right? Because I don't want to, I'll just delete the app if this is too much and I'm like doing the most. But they were all like, my dad said, he's like, if I saw the fire that she's describing sounds like a fire someone would use to stay warm, not a fire someone would use to roast marshmallows. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much, that was what I brought to the podcast today, because I just thought it was an interesting conversation. And some of the comments I read, or one of the comments I read that responded to me was like, there is a lack of like empathy and sympathy today. Yeah. And I agree.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to narrow down my politics talk to just this and look at the camera and address it. The main thing we're missing today, and the thing that I feel like that is the argument, is should we have sympathy and empathy for one another? Is the United States still moving in the direction of like individualism and like the idea of like, you gotta hustle to make it by yourself so you can be rich? I don't think that most modern day Americans have those values anymore. And if they do, one of the first things they say is, I'm gonna help my family, or I'm gonna help my friends, which is what you should be doing anyway. It shouldn't be this rat race to see who can have the most power and who can have the most money and number one at the top. It should be, what can we all do together to make sure we're all comfortable and we're all okay and we're all at the top, instead of just one person. And I think that if people understood more modern day politics, or politics in general, you would know that Donald Trump being the president doesn't mean anything. You would know that it's the people he surrounds himself with that make all the decisions. He just signs the paper that puts it in. It's almost like some of y'all missed 4th and 5th grade government talk. And so the idea that Donald Trump will save us is the idea that you are putting more in an individual that's not yourself and in someone that only has himself as the best interest. Oh my God, hi, it's Editing Antonio. I'm here to talk about what Maddie said in the beginning of the episode. Sorry, the episode is so short. I figured if we put Maddie in the beginning and me at the end, you at least start the episode off on like a positive note, because Maddie's so cute and adorable. Oh my God. Anyway, if I had to do anything with the Grammys, I will remember this conversation and I'm going to put in my ballot. I want Chappell Roan I want Doechii to win Best New Artist, because we love Doechii, and I just feel like she's been slow cooking. And I want Chappell Roan Chappell, Doechii, or Megan Thee Stallion. If any of those people, or Tyler the Creator, if any 4 of those people win anything, it's a dub for Maddie and I, and we're probably gonna be geeked. Thanks for hanging out for this last half of the podcast. Again, sorry it's so short. We're really bad at time management. But we will catch you guys in the next one. Love y'all so much. Thank you for sticking around with the pod. We got a lot of exciting things planned. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. But sorry, the acoustics are terrible. Okay, I'm gonna keep apologizing. Okay, I love you guys. Have a good rest of your week. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Do do do.